joining us now. Texas Congressman Brandon Gill. Congressman, I just saw that you were going to be the next Jim Jordan. I mean, you're 28. I got to get to that because
31.
31. Well, you're always 28 to me. So, what is going on? The Democrats on this voter ID issue reveal themselves, do they not, to everyday Americans who overwhelmingly want this legislation passed?
It really does. And remember, this is coming from the same Democrat Party that ran an entire election trying to convince the American people that men can get pregnant and that defunding the police makes us safer. And now they're on to the next absurd idea. It's a party that is completely rudderless. They have no message. They have no leadership. And now they're trying to convince the American people that it's good for them to flood their communities with illegal alien terrorists who are now on their way to voting. That's their message.
Now,
right
I was
now.
disturbed by something that happened today in the House. Now, you're a first-term congressman, so this was a lot of fun for you, I'm sure. But your colleague, Anna Paulina Luna, she's oftentimes a guest on this show, she launched something called a discharge petition. Not to get too wonky here, but it forces a vote on what is called proxy voting. So enough Republicans voted for proxy voting for, I guess, pregnant women and women with small children. And this is the end result, according to the Speaker.
That rule being brought down means that we can't have any further action on the floor this week. That means we will not be voting on the SAVE Act for election integrity. We will not be voting on the rogue judges who are attacking President Trump's agenda. We will not be taking down these terrible Biden policies with the CRA votes. All that was just wiped off the table. It's very unfortunate.
Is that really the case, that nothing can be done after what happened today? Is that actually the case?
You know, I think the problem here, and I'm very skeptical of the constitutionality of proxy voting. I don't think that discharge petition
Meaning
was
you
a
can
good
vote from
idea.
home for people watching tonight. I mean, you can vote from home if, you know, you have,
Correct.
and everyone
You
feels like, obviously we support moms, support motherhood so much, and it's so difficult. But it's not been done before, and you could see how it could be flipped against Republicans in the future.
And it will be flipped against Republicans, meaning this is, you can vote from home, you can vote from the beach, you can vote from your fundraiser's office, you can vote from wherever. And remember, this doesn't just apply to pregnant women who just had kids, it applies to men as well for 12 weeks. I think that is a bad idea. I think this is a bad idea on the merits. But I certainly don't agree with issuing a discharge petition right now whenever Republicans should be focused on codifying President Trump's executive orders into law, to backing up the president and doing all the things that we told the American people we were going to do. I don't think that most Americans want their Congress members voting from home. Our constituents have to show up to work, and we should too.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people online saying, look, a woman who just had twins, like, I'm back at work in 2 weeks because I have to work. Congressman, it appears that you have a big fan or ally in Elon Musk regarding these activist judges. Watch.
They're trying to stop the will of the people through judicial trickery. There is a huge problem with activists that are actually politicians in judges' robes. And that needs to stop. It's undermining the integrity, the reality, and the perception of the integrity of the legal system of the United States. And these fake judges should be ashamed of themselves. They are not, they're just pretending to be judges, but they are not, they're making the law instead of implementing the law.
Congressman, this has to be stopped by Congress. When is that going to happen?
It does, and I've been on the forefront of saying that Congress needs to be reining in activist judges. I filed impeachment articles a couple weeks ago against liberal activist Judge Boasberg, who demanded that President Trump turn a plane full of Tren de Aragua terrorists around midair and deposit them back into the United States. That's an egregious usurpation of the president's plenary Article 2 authority under the Constitution to act as commander-in-chief. It's something that I'll continue pushing for, but we've got a variety of remedies that we're pursuing right now in the Judiciary Committee.
Impeachment is interesting, but it's difficult. But what can be done is to limit the jurisdiction of the federal courts. There is no reason these courts should have the power to do what they're doing on everything from Tren de Aragua, birthright citizenship. That's going to be a little more dicey at the court, but there are a whole host of issues, transgender inmates. I mean, the administration is losing a lot of these cases, and that's the president's agenda.
That's exactly right, and we passed out of committee Congressman Issa's bill that would limit the ability of district court judges to issue nationwide injunctions. I think that that's a great first step, but there are other levers that we can look at as well. Congress has the power of the purse. We can start defunding some of these courts or defunding individual rulings. We can limit their jurisdiction.
Well,
in the past, Congress has abolished courts outright. I think that there are a variety of things that we can look at here.
Here's what has to happen. Republicans have to stick together.
Yep.
Somehow Democrats never seem to, shoot inside the tent, but somehow Republicans always manage to do that. Congressman, great to see you tonight, as always.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.